Chosen one, you are not reading this by coincidence. God brought you here because it's time you finally see the truth. For years, you've carried an unseen weight. You've been told, directly or indirectly, that you are too much. Too much to love. Too much to understand. Too much to handle. But hear me clearly. You were never too hard to love. You were too hard to fool. And that scared people. It wasn't your worth they doubted. It was their ability to manipulate you. Your spirit could see lies before they formed. Your heart could sense danger before it spoke. Your soul could reject chains even when they came dressed as love. This is your story, and it's time to rewrite it the way heaven sees it. Before we go too deep, understand that this message is a heavenly revelation for the selected ones, not merely content. Thank you so much to everyone who has been helping with our effort. We are aware of your presence, your prayers, and your faith. Right now, put 77 in the comments if this frequency speaks to your spirit. That number isn't arbitrary. It's a spiritual signal to the Most High that you're ready to stop allowing manipulators and pretenders into your holy space, to walk in clarity, and to be protected by discernment. Not everyone will read this letter through to the conclusion. Only those who are really selected. Doing so will provide you more insight, emotional fortitude, and heavenly affirmation that you are not difficult to love. It's just difficult to deceive you. You don't hear something once and then forget it. This is a living word, a plan for your safety, and a mirror to your spirit. Every time you hear it, a new layer of truth will be exposed, and your discernment will become more acute. Return to it anytime your soul feels exhausted or perplexed. Let's get started. Chapter 1. You were unique due to your gift of discernment. Something about you has always been different from the norm, even as far back as you can remember. You were aware of what others were ignoring, even as a young kid. You were pulled to what was below, whereas your companions may have been more interested in the outward manifestations, the smiles, the charm, the looks. The tone of the sentence was audible. The spirit of the action was evident. The weight of the quiet was palpable. This wasn't only overthinking or being careful. This was the talent of discernment, a spiritual endowment. Before you were ever created in your mother's womb, God implanted it in you. He wired your soul like a beautifully tuned instrument, able to see through layers of pretense, hear the unsaid, and sense even the smallest change in environment. You were able to read hearts as well as faces. The world saw you in a new way as a result. There was comfort, openness, and ease in the company of individuals with pure souls. However, your mere presence was a mirror they couldn't stare into for very long when there were others carrying lies, selfishness, or ulterior purposes. They couldn't entice you to comply. They couldn't use false promises to entice you. They were unable to play the same worn-out games on other people since you would be able to tell right away. You've always been able to distinguish between affection and control, between interest and goal, and between compassion and manipulation. You've seen the phony grins that conceal jealousy, that "I'm happy for you," that is tinged with subliminal animosity is something you've heard. The words were kind, yet you sensed the undertone of coldness. You couldn't believe the performance, but others did. You were spiritually awakened by God, not because you were attempting to be suspicious. We can ensure our togetherness by clicking the super thank you button below. The problem with discernment, however, is that the adversary despises it. He is aware that you cannot be imprisoned when you have good vision. He so attempted to skew your view of yourself by using others, even those who are close to you. They said you were difficult to satisfy, too critical, too neurotic, or too finicky. They gave you the impression that you could be the issue. For a while, you could have even attempted to stifle your inner wisdom by dimming your talent in order to blend in and stay out of trouble. In actuality, however, you were never difficult to adore. Simply put, you were difficult to deceive. You were perceptive, not defensive. You were divinely selected, not remote. You were shielding your heart's warmth from people who would take advantage of it, not because you were chilly. The underlying truth is that you have saved more lives than you think because of your judgment. Because you were aware of the warning signals and chose to ignore them, you have never been betrayed. Because you could smell the greed concealed beneath the handshake, you never took advantage of such transactions. Because your soul saw what your eyes could not yet perceive, you were unable to join some partnerships. God didn't give you this talent to keep you alone all your life, to protect you until the proper alignments come. He handed it to you. Your judgment won't endanger the folks He's sending your way. It will make them feel honored. They will interpret it as evidence that you prioritize loyalty over flattery, sincerity over appearance, and truth above performance. The devil attempted to convince you that you were too much for love because of your insight. But according to God, it's the reason you will at last experience true love, as you'll be able to identify it clearly. And you won't have to persuade yourself that it's safe when the time comes. Your heart will relax and your soul will know. Chapter 2. Love is sacred, not informal for you. Love has never been a trivial issue for you. It's not a pastime for the weekend. It's not a lighthearted hobby to pass the time or to avoid loneliness. Love is sacred territory for you. It's a hallowed place where two souls decide to create something enduring based on devotion, trust, and honesty. You realize the word love has weight, so you don't use it carelessly. You have seen what occurs when it is abused. Souls are hurt, hearts are torn, and trust is destroyed. This is the reason you've turned away from those who held your hand and had no trouble lying to your face. You've severed connections with people who might show love 1 minute and then abruptly stop talking. You've cut ties with those who abandoned you when you most needed them and only loved you when it was convenient. You realize that in love, constancy is essential. It's not a choice. We can ensure our togetherness by clicking the super thank you button below. Not everyone who calls you baby or dear really means it, as you've discovered, sometimes the hard way. Not everyone who gives you a grin does it with your best interests in mind. When it comes to protecting you, not everyone who says they care will do so. Because of this, regardless of how isolated, misunderstood, or under pressure you felt at the time, you have refused to accept fakes. The world may criticize you for being overly selective or cautious, but they fail to realize that your standards aren't based on pride. It is based on heavenly guidance. The first excitement of love is not a good indicator of its quality. How devoted it is during storms is how you gauge it. Someone who just likes you is not enough. You wait for someone to treat you with respect. Someone who only wants access to your body is not someone you should engage. You search for someone who wants to keep your soul safe. This has nothing to do with being difficult to obtain. It has to do with being difficult to fool. The goal is to shield your destiny from entanglements that may sap your vitality, darken your light, and cause you to lose sight of your purpose. God has already created you full, so you're not searching for someone to complete you. You're seeking a companion that shares your values and aligns with your goal. Love for you is about whether they can water your soul's garden, not about how many flowers they can purchase. How strongly they can live it in private is more important than how loudly they can proclaim it in public. It's about how resilient they are when life's challenges attempt to bring you down, not how quickly they can knock you off your feet. You're not in a hurry because of this. For this reason, you would rather walk alone for a little than spend your whole life with the wrong kind of person. You are aware that the kind of love God has promised you requires discernment, patience, and preparation. And it won't seem chaotic when it does come. You'll feel at ease. It won't ask you to go smaller. It will provide space for you to grow. It won't arrive to conflict with your mission. It will eventually run along it. The thing that baffles those who misunderstand you is that you're not hesitant to love. You're just unwilling to squander it. Chapter 3. Access, not connection, was what they wanted. Love that failed in the conventional sense wasn't the cause of one of the most devastating heartbreaks you've ever gone through. It resulted from the unpleasant realization that you were never really desired by certain individuals. Your truth, your heart, and your soul were never what they desired. All they wanted was what you were carrying. Without ever planting a seed in your soil, they want the fruit of your existence. Although they were attracted to your brightness, they refused to accompany you into the shadows. They didn't want the obligation of really seeing you, even if they enjoyed the feelings you gave them. Though they didn't want to comprehend the suffering required to develop it, they respected the power you had. They didn't care how much it depleted you. They wanted your energy since it filled them up when they were depleted, because it allowed them to take shortcuts in life without ever appreciating the price you paid for it. They want your knowledge. Because you contributed freely, they believed they appreciated you, but in reality, they valued what they might get from you. That's why they wanted your resources, time, network, and assistance. They desired your presence since it improved their reputation. But in private, they didn't give a damn whether your spirit was tired. And when they realized they couldn't extract more from you, that you wouldn't continue to give without receiving anything in return, and that you weren't prepared to be drained in the name of devotion or love, the mask came off. All of a sudden, you were challenging. You were selfish all of a sudden. All of a sudden, people said you had walls or had changed. In actuality, however, you did not harden. You recovered. You didn't get chilly. You started to be cautious. To keep love out, you didn't erect barriers. To prevent the incorrect individuals from entering, you established boundaries. At last, you realized that having someone with you all the time is a luxury rather than a right. You discovered that not everyone who smiles at you is looking out for you. You came to the realization that some individuals approach, grab what they need, and then go. You realized that those who really loved you would never make you feel bad about defending yourself. Yes, you would lose individuals you believed would be in your life forever if you followed this road. However, it also meant obtaining your serenity, which is considerably more valuable. You stopped entrusting holy aspects of yourself to worthless others. You ceased to let others feed off of you without ever replenishing you. You now understand the distinction between access and connection. The relationship is reciprocal. It is respectful, nutritious, and safe. It's risky to access without a connection. It is transactional, exhausting, and one-sided. You have a choice between the two. One causes you to grow, while the other causes you to shrink. You will no longer put up with those who only want your advantages at the expense of your obligation to love you. For those who never bring a bucket of water for you, you will no longer be a free well. People who only knock when they're in need will no longer be allowed into your home. Your presence, your affection, and your energy are now only for people who deserve them. It's not only self-defense when you say no to the wrong people. It's a self-respecting deed. Additionally, you are safeguarding your future each time you defend your heart. Chapter 4. Their intentions were revealed by your silence. You've learned something significant over time. Being silent is a tactic, not a sign of weakness. You've made the decision to stand back and let your absence speak louder than your presence ever could in a society where people demand you to defend yourself, explain yourself, and prove yourself all the time. Once upon a time, you felt compelled to explain everything, to overcompensate in order to avoid misunderstandings, and to go above and beyond in order to get acceptance. In an effort to maintain harmony or keep people near, you would discuss, defend, explain, and even apologize for things that weren't incorrect. However, you discovered the hard way that giving too much information only serves to enrich the wrong individuals. The people who really care about you have always believed in you without any justification. So you stopped. You stopped chasing after those who continued to leave. You stopped sending lengthy notes to those who had already made up their minds in an attempt to clarify the air. You stopped demonstrating your worth to those who might have seen it all along but choose to ignore it. And the stillness began to speak when you did. The mask may be removed by silence. People's true motives become clear when your words were not audible. While you were silent, those who only approached you while you were entertaining, giving, or helping vanished. When you stopped providing them with your undivided attention, those who thrived on it became uneasy. When you were no longer their safety net, those who had just kept you near for convenience moved away. Here's the beauty, however. People that really cared about you leaned in closer. Even during your quieter times, those who recognized your value remained. You didn't have to explain every action to them. They had faith in your heart. Because you were no longer pouring into them, they did not vanish. Instead, they flowed into you. You learned from silence what explanations could never teach you: the difference between love and attentiveness. Attention may be borrowed, purchased, or pleaded for. Love has deep roots and is freely offered. Additionally, Silence exposed the disconnect between dedication and ease. When it's simple, convenience exists. Even at the expense of anything, commitment endures. When you stopped talking, you allowed others to express their true selves. And they did. You discovered that the people who are supposed to be in your life will approach you rather than leave you in the shadows. Your limits won't cause confusion for those who are supposed to adore you. They'll show them respect. Your silence is more than simply a response now. It's a filter. It distinguishes between those who are related to your spirit and those who are connected to your utility. It keeps your vitality and tranquility intact. Above all, it allows God to fight the conflicts you no longer feel compelled to wage with your own words. Silence isn't meaningless, you've realized. There are many answers in it, and those answers have allowed you to stop pursuing things that were never intended for you. Chapter 5. The wrong bonds were being protected by God. You formerly believed that particular individuals were necessary for your success, pleasure, and even existence. You thought they would always be there for you, sharing in your victories, encouraging your aspirations, and supporting you through all of life's ups and downs. But now that God has given you insight, you can perceive a more profound reality. Living with them would have prevented you from achieving your goals. Some of your most treasured relationships would have gradually sapped your soul's vitality. They would have taken up all of your vitality, concentration, and happiness, leaving nothing for the task that God had called you to. Other relationships would have subtly changed your course in life, drawing you in the direction of a fulfilling but soul-depleting existence. Then came the perilous ones, the relationships that may have completely devastated you and ruined all God put in your hands before it had a chance to develop. When you look back, you can still feel the pain of their betrayal, the perplexity of their rejection, and the void left by their abrupt departure. It seemed like loss in those times. It was like being abandoned. It seemed unjust. You wondered why God would allow someone you trusted so much to cause you such severe pain. You realize now, however, that it wasn't punishment. It served as defense. God was aware of what your heart was blind to at the moment. He was aware of the discussions they had while you weren't there. He was aware of the jealousy concealed in their grins. He was aware of the nuanced ways they would erode your self-esteem and sense of purpose. He was aware that some of the individuals you were holding on to were also the ones who would have silently rejoiced in your failure. Thus, he consented to the separation, occasionally by confrontation, occasionally through treachery, and occasionally in the most perplexing manner imaginable, abrupt quiet. He took them off to shatter you, to rescue you. He took them off. He was safeguarding the integrity of your vocation, the fortitude of your soul, and the course of your fate. What you believed to be a loss turned out to be a rescue effort. Before you knew, you were sinking. You were being hauled out of spiritual quicksand. They were releasing you from bonds you were unaware you were wearing. Despite the pain, that separation made room for the appropriate connections to grow, bonds that would support you, shield you, and help you realize your full potential. Now as you look back, it's obvious. Each shut door served as a barrier. Each farewell was a beautiful diversion. In reality, each setback served as a buffer between you and something that may have cost you everything. God never intended for you to feel empty. He was ensuring that you were accessible to the people, locations, and commitments that would really fulfill your soul. Certain ties cause you to break. You are built by others. And when God intervenes, He will ensure that you are only in contact with those who were created to support your ascent. Chapter 6. Honoring your guard with the right love. The appropriate person won't be scared by the barriers you've had to put up, whether they come into your life as a friend, a love partner, or a reliable ally. They won't make fun of you for having heart-protecting limits. Rather, people will see those limits for what they are, proof that you respect yourself, that you have grown from your mistakes, and that you continue to uphold the sanctity of your soul. The incorrect individuals saw your protection as a barrier when they came near you. They attempted to force you to open the gate before you were ready, climb over it, or tear it down. They were angry because you no longer freely shared your confidence. The idea that you now need to be consistent, honest, and provide evidence of your intentions before allowing someone into your inner world offended them. However, the proper person will never find your caution offensive. They will see it as an indication that your heart is valuable and deserving of protection. They will see that your limits are gates that let the appropriate kind of love in, not walls that keep it out. They won't insist that you destroy them. They'll just knock and wait for you to let them in. They won't be offended by your prudence. They will value it as a component of your unique attractiveness. You will never be accused of being too much, too cautious, too high maintenance, or too guarded by the proper love. Rather, they will secretly give thanks to God that you wasn't less demanding of them before they came. They will see the years of struggles you underwent to get this degree of self-esteem. They will also honor the path that molded you. Safety won't come from reducing your standards to keep someone around if you have the correct love. When they rise to your standards without hesitation, you can be sure they're safe. It won't be necessary for you to justify your life's rules. They will automatically connect themselves with them. You won't need to plead with them to take good care of you. They will understand how to deal with a heart like yours on an innate level. Perhaps most significantly, a true love would never attempt to deceive you into lowering your defenses in order to harm you. They won't act kindly for a while to win your confidence, just to turn around or betray you afterwards. Their reliability will be self-evident. It will feel stable with them around. They will repeatedly behave in ways that are consistent with their remarks until you come to the conclusion that you don't need to be cautious around them. The perfect kind of love can calm you down without making you feel gullible. Without making you feel obligated, they will make you feel appreciated. Without taking anything from your spirit, they will enrich your life. And when you see them, you'll realize that this is the type of love that's worth leaving the gate open for. Not because they told you, but because they demonstrated it. You'll come to understand that love was always intended to be a place of refuge where you might at last find peace, not a struggle you must fight alone.